prison life is not easy, and prison life is particularly difficult in the maximum security prison environment. Maximum security prisons are cold, dangerous, violent places. Very bad things will, in the course of time, happen in very well-managed prisons. The prison culture is replete with firm, uncompromising routines, schedules, rules, and regulations. And it's a very dangerous place, populated by very violent and evil people. People that you and I should go to bed every night and be very thankful that they are locked up, because they are violent and dangerous. As horrible as life in a maximum security prison is, and anyone that tells you differently has lost grip on reality. But as difficult as life can be in a maximum security prison, there is nothing more horrific, and trust me, than growing old in a maximum security prison. The prison culture has no respect for its elder counterparts. The older, the weaker, the more infirm you become, the more you become a target of abuse and intimidation. Period. End of story. What the old guys do in prison? They hold the contraband to the young thugs. So if it's found, the old guy takes the hit. If hooch or drugs or weapons need to be moved, they use the old convicts as the mules to take it. So life in a maximum security prison is bad. Growing old in a maximum prison is worse. People will argue, what's the deterrent? How will you manage these people? Well, the empirical research, and there's a very substantial body of information, says that long-term lifers, and there are an awful lot of people in our prisons across this country who are doing life without parole, except we call it something different. They've got 2 30-year consecutives, 40 years old. They're not going to live to be 100. That's life without parole. They got 2 40s and a 20. That's life without parole, but we call it something different. Well, the empirical research tells us that these inmates are the least difficult to manage, that they have fewer incidents of violent behavior than the inmates that have a reasonable projection of release. Why? My judgment, the reality is, they're making the best of a bad situation. They've got no alternative. So they make the best of a bad situation and put up with the rules, the routine, and do what they have to do to make the best of a bad situation. I want to tell you two stories that relate to inmates. One inmate once told me, well, first let me tell you the first story. I remember vividly, and it's been a lot of years ago. I was walking around the Trenton prison, and I went into Six Wing. Six Wing houses about 350 inmates, and it's 10 tiers high. And I was walking in, and Six Wing was out to yard. And there's maybe 6, 7 guys left on the tier. I said, well, I wonder why did they go to yard? And then I looked at them, and they were all older than 60. It was the only time of the week that they felt safe going to the gang showers. So they'd wait for the yard to go out, and that's when they'd take their shower. That's growing old in jail. I remember another inmate one day telling me that I asked him, you know, what's it like? You've been here forever. I said, well, let me tell you. He said, when I first got here, the first or second day, I saw a rookie correction officer begin his career. They were taking him around on his, show and tell to get him started. And he said, 26, 27 years later, that rookie, now a sergeant, was shaking hands with his colleagues because this was his last tour and he was going to enjoy his retirement benefit. And this inmate stopped and thought, so that was fine. And a day or two later, he saw another rookie beginning his career. And the inmate stepped back and said, if I live long enough, I'm going to see that kid retire. That's a frightening, frightening thought. Another reality of life without parole, which frankly I like to call death by incarceration. Death by incarceration. Is that visits. People who are doing time with no likelihood, with no possibility or likelihood of parole, their visiting pattern, based on my own personal observations, deteriorate to almost nothing within the first 5 to 10 years. The only person that never leaves their visiting is mother. Girlfriends, kids, significant others, whatever, 5 to 10 years, there are no visits. And that's a pretty standard situation. For those inmates doing life sentences without parole that want to be violent, there are ways that they can be managed. They're called close custody units. They don't come out of the cell unless they're cuffed and manacled. They have no congregate activities. They are locked into a shower, uncuffed, recuffed, put back in a shower. They eat all 3 meals in their cell, probably 18 to 24 inches from the toilet. So dangerous people can be managed. But I don't want to mislead you. Even in the best run prisons, bad things will over time happen. Should there be retribution? Sure, there should be retribution. Life in prison, spending the rest of your life, is a powerful, powerful level and measure of retribution.